So in today's video, man, we're going to talk about the difference between an emergency fund and just savings. Because they're two completely different things, and a lot of the times, we get them mixed up. Sometimes we think an emergency fund is the same thing as a savings. And those are, like I say, those are two different things. So today I wanted to touch on them because there's so much confusion, man. There's so much confusion. So we need to, separate the differences. I mean, there's an emergency fund and then you have savings. So let's actually talk about an emergency fund. What is an emergency fund? So basically an emergency fund is a fund of money that is put back specifically for emergencies. It is exactly what it says it is. It's an emergency fund. This is funds you set back for unexpected things that pop up. You know what I mean? And like I say, a lot of people get it confused because you need to separate the two. So basically, you have to tell yourself that I'm putting this money aside for emergencies. I am not going to touch this money. I don't even want to touch this money. You know what I mean? This is for emergencies. You know what I mean? Emergency fund is not for wants. Two completely different things. If you go and spend your emergency fund on a toy, you know what I mean? And then something pops up, now you don't have money for the emergency. You know what I mean? It don't make no sense. So your emergency fund is not for wants. It's not for you're on Facebook Marketplace and you're scrolling on Marketplace and you see something, oh, dang, that's kind of cool. Dang, it'd be nice to have that. Well, shoot, I got it. You know what I mean? I got it put back into savings. I got it put back into my emergency fund. No, bro. Do not spend your emergency money on wants. An emergency fund is for emergencies, not wants. Two completely different things. You know what I mean? You don't want to go and buy a want, whatever the case may be, whatever that want may be, you don't want to go and buy that. And then, you know what I mean, your roof starts leaking in your house. Well, now you done spent your emergency money on a want. And now you got a real emergency done popped up and you don't have the money to cover it because you spend it on your wants. So I like to think about it like this. So when you buy a vehicle, any type of vehicle, they make you put insurance on that vehicle. You cannot legally drive that vehicle on the road without insurance. It's illegal. Well, why do they make you do that? Well, that's to cover everybody's butt. You know what I mean? Because say you get in a wreck and you hit another car. Well, you don't want to come out of pocket for that. Or you don't want to go and get a loan because you ain't got the money to fix it. You know what I mean? That insurance is there, you know what I mean, for insurance. You know what I mean? It's to cover your butt. You know what I mean? All you got to do is hit up the insurance company and battle with them. And I don't even want to get into the insurance company because they the most scammest people out there. So I don't really want to get into all that. But they make you put insurance on a vehicle, so if something pops off, you're covered. You know what I mean? Whatever the case may be, your insurance is supposed to cover it. Because you never know what's going to happen. You can't predict the fact you get in the car and you're headed to work, somebody going to hit you. Or you going to hit somebody. You can't predict that. It's not like you going to plan on hitting somebody. That's unexpected and it pops up. So your insurance is going to cover that. Same thing with your emergency fund, bro. Your emergency fund for your money is an insurance policy for life. You want to be insured just in case something pops off, bro. You know what I mean? Your emergency fund is an insurance policy on your life. That way when something pops off, you can cover it. You see what I mean? So two completely different things. I like to think about my emergency fund as my insurance policy. You know, it's going to cover me for It's going to cover me if something happens. Whatever the case may be. That's what my emergency fund is for. I do not touch my emergency fund for anything but an emergency that is unexpected, that I did not expect it to pop up. You know what I mean? Christmas, that's not an emergency. Holidays, that's not an emergency. Birthdays, that's not an emergency. These are things that happen every single year at the same time every single year. That's not an emergency. You know it's coming up. That's not an emergency. Do not spend your emergency. That's not an emergency. Vacations, that's not an emergency. Do not spend your emergency money on vacations. You know what I mean? So think about it as your emergency fund is your insurance policy for life. It's your insurance for when things happen. Because they're going to happen. It's not if it's going to happen. It's when it's going to happen. So when it happens, you need to be prepared for it, bro. You know what I mean? It makes life so much easier. So much easier to have that insurance policy put back. To all my fellas out there that has a wife, that has kids, have children that depends on them. If you have an emergency fund, the stress that it takes off of your wife, bro, is crazy. Just the fact that she knows that if something pops off, we're okay. We're okay. We're not going to drown. We're going to be fine. We have the money. And the fact that your wife is not stressing about random things that's going to pop up, it just makes life so much better. Fellas, correct me if I'm wrong, but if your old lady, if your wife is stressing, that makes you stress. That takes away from your peace. She's stressing over something you can prevent. You can prevent that stress just all by having an emergency fund. She's going to sleep better. You know what I mean? She's going to be happier. Because she's not always constantly worried about money. She's not constantly worried about the car breaking down. Yeah, it's stressful when the car breaks down, but what's even more stressful is when the car breaks down and you can't fix it. Now the car's broke down and you can get to work to make money to be able to fix the car. You know what I mean? It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. So your emergency fund is an insurance policy for your life. Alright, so what's a savings? You know, once you have your emergency fund put back, and it's put back, it's separate, this is something we don't touch. That's an emergency fund. Now, what is a savings? Now, a savings for many other people, it could mean different things. Savings could be investments. Savings could be for wants. Savings could be for vacations. You know what I mean? Savings could be for kids' college. You know what I mean? Savings could be for many different things. And I'm not mad at you for what you spend your savings on if you have your emergency fund put back. If you have that buffer put back for when life happens, I'm not mad at you for going and buying something that you want, that you've been wanting, things that you've put off so you can get that emergency fund in place. I'm not mad at you. You know what I mean? We work hard for our money. We need to be saving money. We need to be investing money. We need to be spending some of our money. We need to be able to enjoy some of our money. We work hard for it. We need to be able to enjoy it. You know what I mean? And then for wants. Savings is, I mean, you want something, save up for it and go buy it, bro. You know what I mean? Your emergency fund's already put back. Now let's save up for that want. Now let's save up for that vacation. You know what I mean? I mean, just think about it, bro. How awesome would it be for you to go on vacation, have money put back for you know, in savings for that vacation, You're on vacation and you're having a good time, but you're constantly thinking to yourself, I'm spending all my money, so when I get back to the house, I'm not going to have no money. So if something pops off once I get back from my vacation, all this fun I had, you know what I mean, something going to pop off. I just spent all my money on this vacation. I don't have nothing put back. You know what I mean? So how awesome would it be to be able to go on vacation? You have an emergency fund stashed back, and then now you have your savings to pay for your vacation. How awesome would it be to know that you can go enjoy guilt-free, go enjoy this vacation and not have to worry about the money because you know you have an emergency fund put back. You're not tripping. You ain't stressing. You know what I mean? Just think about that, bro. Take a step back and actually think about that. I want to go on vacation, but I also don't want to stress about bills when I get back home. Well, if you have that insurance policy set aside, you're not stressing about that. That's going to make your vacation better. That's going to make whatever it is you want to do in life better. Guilt-free. All right, I'll put this money back for this vacation, so when I go spend this money, I'm not feeling guilty. That's what this money is for. It's for my vacation. That's like me and the wife, man. We like to at least try to take at least 1 or 2 vacations a year. You know what I mean? And we don't go crazy with it. You know, sometimes it's just like a little weekend getaway or something. Just me and the wife. Or maybe we'll take the kids with us. It's just maybe just like a weekend getaway. You know what I mean? But our emergency fund is set in place, set to the side, that's not touched. So when I take my wife and my kids on vacation and we're spending money, in the back of our head and in the back of her head, she's not worrying about money. To the sense of, how am I going to do this or how am I going to do that? No, before we leave the house, we already have money put back for that vacation. You know what I mean? And it's crazy, bro. And I challenge you to just stop and think about that. Just stop and think about that. And another thing I kind of wanted to point out, man, is why would we go out and spend money like we're in Congress, but at the same time we don't have money to cover an emergency? Think about it. It sounds simple, but just stop and actually just tell your brain to think about that right now. Just think about it. Why am I going out buying wants? I'm buying this, I'm buying that, something I want. Yeah, that's great. I'm not mad at you for buying that. But why are you buying it and you don't have an emergency fund put back? Why are you buying wants and why are you going on vacations and why are you buying the kids this and why are you buying the kids that? But you can't cover an emergency when it pops up. That is a recipe for stress. That is a recipe for failure for life. And they don't teach you this crap in school, bro. They don't teach you this crap in school. Kids get out of college and they have no idea about money. They don't know how money works. They don't know really the purpose of money. You know what I mean? The schools don't teach you this, bro. And social media is just, it can be great. Do not get me wrong. Social media can be good. But at the same time, it can hurt us so bad, bro. It can hurt us so bad because you're scrolling on Facebook and you're seeing all your friends taking vacation after vacation after vacation. They're buying this, they're buying that, they're buying this, they're buying that. But what they don't put on Facebook is they ain't got no emergency fund. So you see the fact that they go and take this vacation, but what you're not seeing is when they get home, the transmission goes out in the car. They don't post that on Facebook. They're going to post all the good stuff on Facebook. You see what I mean? So when you're inhaling that and you're taking that in on a day-to-day basis and you're constantly seeing people go on vacation and buy things that they want and they seem happy, but deep down, they're stressing. They might not realize they're stressing, but they're stressing. They're stressing. And whether they want to admit it to themselves or not, they're worried. Whether they're thinking about it like that or not, they're worried. Yeah, I just bought this and it's fun, but in the back of their head, they're worried. I want this. I really want this. I have the money. I'm going to go buy it because I want it. I work hard. I deserve it. I'm going to go get it. But what they don't tell you is in the back, way in the back of their head is even telling them, no, do not go buy that. You know you ain't supposed to be buying that. Why are you buying that, bro? And it's like we don't even realize it, but our brain is telling us what we should and should not be doing. But we're not listening to it. Because our focus is on what we want. You know what I mean? Our focus is on what we want. The majority of people, bro, they don't think 5, 10, 15 years ahead of their life. They're thinking about the here and now, the wants. What can I buy today? What can I go do today? How can I spend this money? Oh, I got a little bit of extra money. How can I spend it? Rather than being like, how can I invest this money? How can I use this money to make me more money? And then that money can pay for everything that I want. It's crazy, bro. So just keep in mind, man, I mean, there is a big difference between an emergency fund and a savings fund. Two different things, bro. Until you get those two things down and understand it in your brain that those are not the same thing, you know what I mean, you're gonna struggle. If you can't define what an emergency fund is versus a savings, you're gonna struggle, bro. So I just kind of wanted to touch on this topic a little bit, man. I mean, there's a lot of people out there struggling, and they don't know, man. They don't know. So, you know what I mean, if I could put out, you know, a video to help one person out there, man, and just kind of open up their mind and be like, dang, he's making some sense. He's making a lot of sense. And I mean, everything that I'm saying, bro, is it's just common sense. It's just common sense. But guys, if y'all got anything out of this video, man, make sure you hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If there's anything you want me to maybe touch on, man, just throw it down in the comments, bro. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll make a video on it if it can help you out, bro. But we'll catch y'all guys in the next one. Peace.